We all care about our communities and try to make them a better place, but some people really go above and beyond the role of good friend or good neighbor. These people make positive change, work tirelessly for the benefit of everyone. These are the people that we call hometown heroes. When they see a problem, they fix it. When they recognize a need, they fill it. And when they hear a cry for help, they answer it. These are our colleagues, our friends, our next door neighbors. They're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. But their goal is to make the world a better place. And these are their stories. Hello and welcome to the second edition of Hometown Heroes, a special UMTV program that highlights stories of extraordinary people who make our community and the world a better place. I'm your host, Darryl Barnes. We begin with the issue of climate change that's affecting all aspects of our lives. It's also worsening the planet's biodiversity crisis by making environments more deadly for tens of thousands of animal and plant species. The International Union for Conservation of Nature that tracks biodiversity around the world lists more than 44,000 species as threatened with extinction. That's about 1/3 of all the species the organization monitors. And now it's up to people to step up and save those species. Harvey Duplock joins us now to introduce us to one young hero in Boca Raton, Florida, who has been going above and beyond to save endangered animals and the environment for most of her life.
Darryl, behind me is the Miami Seaquarium on Key Biscayne, which opened back in 1955, and at the time, it was the largest marine life attraction in the world, filled with marine mammals, sharks, turtles, reptiles, and more. It was supposed to be a sanctuary for endangered marine life, but instead was a prison, known for its abuse and mistreatment of animals. And last month, the county terminated their lease and ordered them out of this location. But before it was terminated, this was one of the only few places in Florida where people could see penguins. But instead of teaching them about those creatures, it reminded them of the abuse and suffering that animals deal with. But it was seeing what the penguins had to go through, both in captivity and in the wild, that inspired one young hero to protect them and their environment.
Look at this. It was cute. And they looked cuddly and I liked it, so I wanted to save them.
Meet Anya Gupta, an 8th grader from Boca Raton, Florida. She's a Girl Scout, a sister, and a daughter, but to penguins, she is a protector.
In kindergarten, we had to do a project on penguins, a penguin report, and I found out that they were endangered and I wanted to help.
And so she started researching, she discovered different organizations that were doing it, and it just all of a sudden blossomed as her mission in life to save the penguin.
Penguins come in all shapes and sizes. In fact, there's 18 different species of them, but 12 of those species are globally threatened because of pollution, habitat loss, and commercial fishing, all caused by humans.
And I thought it was really unfair that the penguins were suffering because of what we were doing, and so I really did want to help.
And that's why she started her organization called Pennies for Penguins when she was only 4 years old. At first, she saved money for chores and donated it to the World Wild Fund for Nature, also known as the WWF. In return, they sent her a stuffed animal and a certificate saying she has adopted a penguin. Well, 22 of them. However, the WWF mainly focuses on changing legislation and developing innovative solutions that protect communities, wildlife, and the places in which they live. All of which takes a lot of time the penguins don't have. So Anya knew Pennies for Penguins had to become more than just donating chore money, and so she created her own penguin fundraiser.
Anytime somebody donated to adopt a penguin, I would send them one of these stuffed animals, and I would donate the money to Global Penguin Society, which I found was actively working in the field.
And even then, Anya knew she had to do more, or in her case, write more.
So I figured that maybe if reading helped me, reading could raise awareness to the rest of the community, specifically the youth and the younger youth.
And so she wrote not one, not two, but 3 books.
It happened rather quickly. It was a few months process. And she was so thrilled when she had that first book in her hand. It's just such an amazing feeling to see like the manifestation of something that you worked so hard on.
And it was Anya's books that led her here to the Gumbo Limbo Nature Center in Boca Raton, Florida, which is home of the Gumbo Limbo Coastal Stewards.
we actually were selling her 3 conservation books. So the Gumbo Limbo Coastal Stewards is a 501c3 here in South Florida, and our mission and purpose is associated with the conservation of our coastal and marine ecosystems.
I attended a planning meeting with them, and we came up with the idea of, since they're a nonprofit organization with a board of trustees, we wanted a youth board of trustees. And so the Youth Leadership Council came together, and I'm the president/chair of the Youth Council.
The Gumbo Limbo Youth Council hosts meet and greets to raise awareness, host beach cleanups, and more.
And this idea of e-waste came up. And so we reached out to Gumbo Limbo Coastal Stewards, the nonprofit, and they were so supportive of her.
So I've hosted 2, and together combined, I've collected about 1,750 pounds of e-waste.
So Anya started reaching out to mayors of cities and towns here in South Florida, towns like Palmetto Bay.
So we are very honored today to be able to name E-Waste Day in your honor.
But Palmetto Bay wasn't Anya's first proclamation from a mayor declaring October 14th as the National E-Waste Day. In fact, it was her 48th.
I don't think she expected 48 mayors to say yes to her. Then they all said, please come visit. So she's been running around the state for about 2 months, visiting like Stuart, Florida, and Coral Gables.
But no matter the challenge, Anya is always up for the fight because she knows that in order to see the change, she must be the change, a trait that has inspired everyone she knows.
She is definitely an extraordinary young person, and I know she's going to make huge changes in this world.
I would say you'd be hard-pressed to find another spirited soul like Anya who really does take a sense of personal responsibility when it comes to our environment.
It really gives me hope for the future, because as we're dealing with such big world issues, if we are raising a generation that can step in there and get involved, that's how we're going to see the change that we want to see.
And with more people like Anya in this world, that change will be a reality. That's why Anya's mission boils down to a message of hope.
I hope people all over the world, even not just the country, feel inspired to host e-waste collection drives, host beach cleanups, host events, raise awareness, make themselves into activists, feel passionate about something.
For UMTV, I'm Harvey Duplock.
Thank you, Harvey. And while Anya is working to save the penguins, other heroes across South Florida are striving to save a different marine species. Studies show that since 1880, the average global temperatures have increased about 1 degree Celsius, and rising temperatures on the beach have affected sea turtles for generations to come. Our next 2 stories from reporters Ryan Marshall and Billy Brightman show us how local heroes help save the sea turtles.
The oceans cover over 70% of the planet's surface and hold about 97% of all of Earth's water. And living in these oceans is a creature that has roamed Earth for the last 100 million years. 5 of the 7 species of sea turtles live in Florida's coastal waters. But through habitat destruction, climate change, poaching, and bycatching, 6 of the 7 species of sea turtles have been listed from vulnerable to critically endangered. As a result, scientists and conservationists have stepped in to save the ancient mariners.
We found that there was a huge need and a crisis facing the sea turtles. So it was our nonprofit that took on the responsibility of funding all of the sea turtle activity there at the Gumbo Limbo Nature Center.
Veterinarians at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center and Loggerhead Marine Life Center help save sea turtles through rehabilitation, conservation, and research. And since sea turtles were first placed on the Endangered Species Act in the 1970s, turtle nesting in Florida has increased dramatically.
So it's, we thought we had somewhere around, 350,000 nests, or, around 3 million hatchlings leaving, and that was 20 years ago. Now we have more like twice that many, at least.
While these efforts have helped bring various species back from the edge of extinction, sea turtles are facing a different challenge that scientists may not be able to solve.
Unlike humans and other mammals whose sex is determined through X or Y chromosomes, the sex of reptiles is often determined through environmental factors. So what might just be a burning sensation on our feet from hot sand can affect sea turtles for generations to come.
These animals, sea turtles, have environmentally determined sex. That's no X chromosome, no Y chromosome. It's all the genes responding to the environmental temperature in the nest. So, because the environment varies, the question then is, what's a normal sex ratio?
The optimal incubation temperature for sea turtle eggs is between 83 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. If the temperature of the nest falls out of this range, it can result in skewed sex ratios. Cooler temperatures mean more male hatchlings, while warmer temperatures mean more female hatchlings. And through Dr. Weineken's research on sex ratios over the past 20 years, she's discovered there's been an overwhelming increase in the percentage of female sea turtles hatching on Florida beaches.
In some years, we see no males at all. That's the big change that's happened. We thought we were probably going to get 15% males, somewhere around there. That's very, very, very rare. I think I only have 1 year like that. Since then, we see 98% female, 99% female, 100% female.
Because it takes 20 to 30 years before sea turtles reach sexual maturity, the effects of this skewed ratio may not be seen until decades down the line.
You know, if every male is fertilizing 5 females, you know, great job for boys in the turtle singles bar, but not great for the diversity, genetic diversity that provides the variation that gives the species resilience.
As global ocean and coastal temperatures continue to trend warmer each year because of carbon emissions, there's no clear solution to the sea turtles' problem, but humanity can try to help the turtles by slowing down global warming.
It's not just, right here in southeast Florida and sea turtles and water temperatures around here. We're seeing this around the whole globe. And so any efforts on a large scale to, curb greenhouse gas emissions and those sorts of things to at least not let the temperatures increase as rapidly.
And while the future is not fully clear for sea turtles, scientists and conservationists will continue to try and save the species, because a healthy ocean depends on sea turtles, and sea turtles need our help. Ryan Marshall, UMTV.
For as long as South Florida artist Dawn Maslar-Biggie can remember, art and biology have been a huge part of her life. However, she didn't always know which way to go.
I was scared. I was a little scared. I didn't think I could make it as an artist. I doubted myself. And so I kept thinking, if I do science as a backup, because I like science too, it would be like my little safety net.
Now she combines these fields. She teaches biology part-time, but when she's not in the classroom, she's surrounded by her colorful creations. And her biggest muse are sea turtles. And it's not just the actual art itself that shows Dawn's love for the ocean. If you take a close look at the tag, it shows that proceeds of the sales of the art goes back to the inspiration behind the creation. After attending a sea turtle nest rescue hosted by Nova Southeastern University's Marine Environmental Education Center, Dawn decided to give back to the place where she first found a love for sea turtles.
She goes to a lot of art shows, so she has an important presence in all of these places, but this is kind of like her, we call her our resident artist. It's a great way of furthering the message of the meek and giving her a home, knowing that this is going to be the place where she can always come and we will welcome her work.
Giving back in this way has made art even more meaningful to Dawn.
It makes me feel great. I mean, I kind of feel like I found my purpose now.
Dawn Maslar-Biggie continues to work towards saving a keystone yet endangered species, one piece of art at a time. Billy Brightman, UMTV.
Like the sea turtles, many other Florida native species need a refuge as their natural habitat gets destroyed, and one hero couple is doing its part to rescue some of these animals. Martha Francisca Rivera and her husband Jeff live and work as curators of the Everglades Outpost in the city of Homestead, south of Miami. The outpost was established in 1991, and its curators take in hurt and injured wildlife, rehabilitate it, and release it back to nature. The Riveras not only donate their time to helping these animals, but they also use their own money to keep the outpost running.
We have experienced about an 80% drop in visitors this year. I think a lot of it has to do obviously with the economy, and we are dependent on that because we are not state or county funded.
Martha says she and her husband spend around $200,000 a year in animal feed, medical supplies, electric bills, and property maintenance to keep the facility running and help hundreds of injured animals. Animal shelters in South Florida have been full for months. Currently, there are more than 700 pets ready to be adopted in Miami-Dade County alone. Maddie Pasalic had the opportunity to meet with one hero who makes getting these pets adopted his mission.
I'm here at Miami-Dade Animal Shelter where one pet photographer is using his talents to help break the stigma surrounding shelter pets. His mission is to show just how adorable these pets can be, which is now more important than ever as the shelter has been at or past capacity for over 3 years. A picture says 1,000 words, and photography is an art that not many people can master. Once you throw animals into the mix, taking these photos requires a whole other level of skill. For John Boma, photographing pets has always been an interest, but with the help of Miami-Dade Animal Services, it has also become a way for him to give back to the community.
And I started at the Humane Society in Broward County, and they were more than happy to have me come photograph the dogs, and it was a way to practice my photography as well because I was still sort of new and learning the craft.
Boma began photographing these pets 10 years ago to perfect his craft, but what was once just for practice quickly became his passion. When stray animals get brought into the shelter, they go through the intake process where they are scanned for a microchip and examined for any illness or injury. Once their status is determined, a quick photo of them is taken. But following stressful tests that often leave the pets scared, these photos do not do the animals justice.
It's sort of just marketing 101 if you present your product, which in this case are the adoptable animals, in a better light, it's going to be more appealing to people.
John has the process of taking these photos down to a science. Through trial and error, he has figured out the best way to get the perfect shot.
We use a number of strategies. Treats are really, work really well with most dogs. Having a little squeaker toy to get their attention. And sometimes, if a dog is not interested in any of that stuff, we'll just keep them on the leash and photograph them that way.
For many of these furry friends, this photo is the only thing foster or adoptive families have to reference, so it can be extremely difficult to get a feel for each animal's personality, and often adoption through these photos is the animal's last chance.
Basically, they'll send an email out to, a dozen rescue groups saying, hey, this dog needs help. And if they have a number of decent photos, it'll give people a much better sense of what the dog looks like, their size, and maybe even a little bit about their personality.
Although the COVID-19 pandemic is over, the repercussions of the shutdown are still present and impact these animals in a catastrophic way. From 2020 to 2022, the Doral shelter that opened in 2016 was able to run under capacity. But now there are so many animals that need homes, the shelter is overrun.
The cost of food for your pets is up. The cost of veterinary care is up in double digits. And so that is causing people to either struggle keeping their pets or think about it twice before actually bringing a new pet into their home.
Due to the overcrowding in Doral, hundreds of dogs are housed at the old shelter in Medley, Florida, which has caused controversy because of the less than ideal conditions.
We have our ellipse room here where it has like a wall of all the other available dogs that we have at Medley. So we update their kennel card so people can still see their fresh picture, not their original intake picture that's not great quality, so that if somebody doesn't find what they're looking for here, that they know that there's more dogs available.
Which is why what Boma is doing is so important, because he can take an animal that isn't available to be seen in person and take their picture from this to this. Within the last week, Miami-Dade Animal Services has reached critical capacity with over 900 animals between their new and old shelters, forcing them to house dogs in makeshift kennels or in pairs in an area normally meant for one dog.
The best thing that the community can do to help us at this point is make adoption your first option. We have a dog for everybody, so people should definitely consider making adoption your first option because helping find these pets homes alleviates that space.
The mark that Boma leaves on these animals and the employees at Miami-Dade Animal Services is priceless.
Because at the end of the day, we're all working for one united mission, which is to make sure that they can find their loving forever families. And he really does help us do that by just having these wonderful pictures that people can kind of get a glimpse into the personalities of the dogs that we have here at the shelter.
Boma has spent hundreds of hours photographing these pets that are in need of loving homes, and the only thing he asks for is this.
So there's just a lot of ways that you can help with the shelter. They need people to give the dogs baths. They need people to go in the cat room and sit down and let a cat crawl into your lap and get petted for a few minutes. Anything like that can be a big help.
Maddie Basalik, UMTV.
Thanks, Maddie. And just like John Bohm was fighting to get these pets adopted and showing a totally different side to them, one South Florida martial arts coach is showing a completely different side to the sport. Nick Marino joins us now to introduce us to our next hometown hero.
Behind me is Mighty Warriors Dojo, a martial arts school in the impoverished neighborhood of Little Haiti in Miami. It was opened up by a man a couple of years ago who grew up right here in this neighborhood and for a period of time was homeless. He's known to many as Sensei Champ, and his goal for the place is for it to become a beacon of light for those who need support, as he once did. Ollie Tillman doesn't look like your average mixed martial arts sensei, and he's okay with it.
Can't judge a book by its cover, you'll be so fooled.
Holly grew up on the streets right here in Little Haiti, where he had to fight just to stay alive.
It's a lot of bullying, a lot of fighting, a lot of murdering. It's a lot of murders. It happened basically every week,
As a homeless 16-year-old, Tillman found mixed martial arts and changed his life.
He always was a fighter. I always knew how to fight, but it's a difference from a fighter and a skilled fighter.
Tillman, or Master Sensei as his students call him, has always known that he could help others through mixed martial arts. So, in 2021, he opened Mighty Warriors Dojo in the center of his old neighborhood with the help of local sponsors and fighting winnings. This dojo is completely free to local kids, and any money Tillman gets, such as $5,000 from a pillow fighting competition, goes right here.
And I used the money, of course, for my kids and make sure we had school giveaways and, we make sure we continue our food on the weekends and stuff like that.
He does not make any money from the dojo, and he doesn't care.
If it was about the money to me, this would be I would be charging what the schools charge in Car Gables and Can-Do and stuff like that. That's why we making our program the way it is, so everybody could be a part of it.
Master Sensei holds 3 classes a week here on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for about 2 hours. There's 20 to 25 kids per class, ranging from kids as young as 3 to as old as 18. And after a long 2-hour session, kids get to get their anger out in sparring sessions. On the surface, it might just seem like these kids are learning how to fight on the mat, but really, they're gaining and learning so much more.
Values that are taught here, it's like a family-oriented way of doing things with all the kids, and I think that's very important for kids to be able to work with other kids.
This martial arts class is the most oriented family type of thing I've ever been around.
So far, almost 1,000 kids have passed through the dojo, and Tillman teaches each and every one of them.
With Sensei Champ, it's a lot of kids that have been bullied in the class, and they won't ever get bullied again.
Tillman started his dojo to help others. The one thing he did not realize is how much it would help him.
Well, they did teach me that I'm really is a good person. You always question yourself, wow, people look at you like you one of them, or, but they showed me that, I'm a good person, and I know that I'm a good person.
Tillman's teams regularly come in first place in local competitions in the area, proving his students are winning inside and outside of the ring. For UMTV, I'm Nick Marino.
Thanks, Nick. And Tillman is not the only coach who's giving back to the South Miami community by sharing their talents. Isabel Morales joins us now to tell us how our next hero is making strides on the court. Issa?
Daryl, the sports career of 76-year-old tennis champ, fittingly named James Champion, started in New York City. But now, more than 6 decades later, he's still here, strong, in Moore Park in Miami, where Champion is now on the other side of things, changing the lives of underserved children in the community.
Game-changing, both on and off the court, James Champion serves up inspiration in every swing. To James, tennis is more than just a game. It's a motivation for positive change in the South Florida community.
It taught me 2 things in particular. 1, how to win. Okay. 2, how to lose. A lot of folks don't know how to lose.
James grew up in the Harlem neighborhood of New York City, but always had big dreams despite the hardships he encountered. At 11 years old, he and his 5 siblings were separated from their parents and sent to a children's home.
My mother, unfortunately, was an alcoholic, and then my father had a lot of issues medically, very asthmatic and so forth. And unfortunately, they couldn't keep us.
But he never let anything stop him and went on to play Division I tennis at Alabama A&M University on a scholarship.
Tennis was absolutely my outlet because unfortunately I was successful, so it made me feel good. So it gave me a foundation that regardless of the circumstances I unfortunately started with, I could change that. I could make a difference in my life.
He is a winner of several titles, the 1993 Doral Ryder Open champion and the 2008 Black Enterprise Challenge Men's Division A champion, just to name a few. Off the court, James is the owner of the Champion Services Group, a human resources consulting firm in South Florida and a master's alum of the University of Miami.
Tennis has changed the life of James Champion, but his dedication to changing the lives of young tennis players makes him an ace.
He is now giving back to the community by teaching underserved children and teens to play tennis and serving as their mentor at an organization called First Serve Miami. Set against the backdrop of dedication and community spirit, First Serve Miami strives to create a lasting impact, ensuring that every serve is not just a point won, but a life touched.
We couldn't afford the lessons. The sport is very expensive, and First Serve supports you through many different ways, not just giving you tennis lessons. They support you with rackets, with clothes, with shoes. They're there for you. It's like a family.
Since 1974, more than 50,000 kids ages 6 to 18 have been given the chance to get free tennis lessons at First Serve Miami. The organization was founded with the promise to help underserved children in South Florida and teach them to become champions not just in athletics, but in school, work, and life as well.
Because it was what I went through. It was a carbon copy of helping kids to move forward in life and using tennis and life skills and education as a vehicle to give them that opportunity.
As a member of the board and a tennis coach for more than a quarter of a century, James has made it his mission that here at First Serve, no one is ever out.
I teach them that they need to voice. They need to use their voice.
Through James's work with First Serve, he strives to teach his students to play the point out and encourages them that anyone can win the point no matter who is serving.
I can't express enough what the feeling is like, knowing that my father has made an influence.
Matched only by his backhand precision on the tennis court, James Champion's community involvement is a winning match, proving that his impact extends far beyond the baseline.
The give back concept is very important to me. So to know I'm doing that and to know I'm working with great people to have it happen, I couldn't ask for anything better.
And his goals to help more children in the Miami community continue to make an impact.
When I see those prospects, I offer them a scholarship into our program at Royal Palm. We do our best to develop them into elite tennis players and go on to college, if not better careers.
Just like tennis helped James get a grip in life, he encourages others to do the same.
I don't think I would be where I am right now without them. I'm very grateful, and I have the tears coming because it's not something that I think I would be able to do without First Serve.
James, a champion on and off the court, teaches his students to work hard for their goals and to swing any challenges that come their way. Isabella Morales, UMTV.
As you can see, there's certainly no shortage of people here in South Florida who work tirelessly to make the lives of other people better and to change the world. They are our hometown heroes. We thank you for allowing us to tell their stories here on UMTV because we hope you've been as inspired as we have been. I'm Daryl Barnes. Have a good night and stay safe.